Peg Brennan was born June 6, 1924, to Kurt and Charlotte Klessig. Peg Brennan, my mom, lived an exemplary life, and a lot of people were impacted by her being an activist. She spent most of her time in New Jersey when she was young, and then her dad was a teacher and took a sabbatical to Mexico. In her youth, she was raised there much of the time because she was a conocito, a little well-known. They could get a better quality of life in Mexico than they would otherwise have had in Jersey. She met my dad, her husband, and got married somewhere around 1950, I believe. She, in fact, was a hat model, and that still showed throughout her life. She carried herself as if she was always modeling her hats. So Willie, who was born in 1952, then my brother Bruce was born in 1954, and I was born in 1955. She was a traditional housewife. She did try to live out in the suburbs with 3 kids and her husband, and she contended that he continued to bring home the bacon and all. She may never have seen through that whole game, and it really did to her seem like a game. She was right there with Betty Friedan, recognizing there was a lot lacking for that kind of a life for women. And she, in fact, had an article written about her with an alias of Megan Drake. It was called Runaway Housewife. She was the first among many to leave the security of suburbia, and she went off and established her own life, which was pretty brave. And she went on and was very much an activist in the feminist movement. She was also an activist against the war, civil rights, very much activist. She befriended Florence Kennedy, Flo Kennedy, the civil rights attorney, whom she saw as an amazing role model and made sure that we all got to know her very well as well. And she went on to become a social worker in New York City, and she'd go in to visit clients who, even police officers didn't go into those buildings in pairs, but she would go tootling in by herself, certain that they didn't see her as the enemy. She was an ally to her clients.
Right now we've completed what we call the Dirge portion of the New Orleans-style Memorial March, and we're right around by this block, and I figured we've been going slow long enough. So let's celebrate Peggy's life right now, and let's give them a rouser on the way around the corner. Here we go. Ba-da, ba-da. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
She did a lot of world traveling. She had an affinity for Mexico. Built a home, actually, about 6 kilometers outside of the city of Oaxaca, and then she had a little apartment over in Huatulco. She had a cabin up in Canada, which I actually helped build, and a geodesic dome on Fire Island. She took an old shell of a brownstone and renovated it with a bunch of people, her communal family. So this grand life lived by Peg had to be concluded in a similar fashion. She and I both had discussed liking a dirge, so Ed Ivy, who is part of the North Beach Brass Band, and it just seemed perfect that a dirge meets Haight-Ashbury, you know, taking it to the street. That's what the 60s was all about. That's what my mom was all about, seeing all these people participate. It was a huge neighborhood morale booster. just beginning about 10 days of discomfort with her breathing. She had emphysema and knew she didn't want to stick around. She was deteriorated to the extent she was willing to be deteriorated, and she decided it was time to check out. I miss her like crazy. She's an amazing person, but even my mom's not immortal.